I found it difficult to watch the most recent episode. A couple of obvious problems prevented me from ever finishing it. The primary cause is David and Christine's intense PDA. I mean, can you imagine having to watch your mom make out with a guy who is still essentially a stranger after 6 weeks, especially on national television? She actually seems uneasy with their relationship, and it's awkward to see. When they are holding hands, she puts herself in between them to break them up, which the grown-ups dismiss as adorable. When Christine begs Truly to come on stage, she answers by throwing her backpack to David and marching off, clearly unhappy. This is another strange scene. Hey, hello, welcome back to the TLC Flicks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Does she appear dissatisfied with how quickly things are developing between her mom and David, or is it just me? Naturally, none of this is intended as a genuine criticism. She is obviously going through a lot since her parents' divorce and is simply responding in her own manner. Christine is acting like a teenager with her first genuine boyfriend, and it feels like she has never had this type of kiss before. In all honesty, I was worried about Truly's response to the PDA because, despite the fact that it has been said that she and David got along well, it appeared to me that she might be pursuing attention from David rather than simply not liking him. However, Christine's public, open-mouth kisses are simply too much. There is a limit, so feel free to be in love. No one wants to witness that in public, not even children, friends, or strangers. Furthermore, why are we watching the wedding special prior to the engagement? Considering that they had only been dating for 6 weeks, it is unnerving. It comes out as impetuous, particularly when children are present, and Christine comes across as somewhat juvenile in her demeanor. Again, don't pass judgment on genuinely. They're just getting through a difficult time. Christine Brown, star of Sister Wives, is doing her best. It's evident that some people haven't been emotionally neglected or abused for decades. While she may seem a little immature, the majority of us are. After years of being the obedient, submissive wife in a scenario where she was emotionally ignored and undervalued, this lady is finally letting herself to feel freely after coping with actual trauma. She is physically experiencing what it's like to be truly cared for and kissed for the first time. Indeed, it's a lot to process, so it would be wonderful to give her a break. And perhaps express gratitude for not being able to get it. Since she was a teenager the last time she was unmarried, Christine has always had a bit of an additional personality. She is currently going through menopause and maybe finding a new form of independence. Is the relationship going quickly, if you understand what I mean? Yes, is keeping a close eye on the PDA? Yes, it is cringy. Absolutely. I think it would have been wonderful if they had muted the mix. Christine, an adult who is at last receiving some kindness, is still learning how to do things, just like the rest of us. Even when we are meant to be adults, we all make some embarrassing mistakes. Therefore, I can't be critical of someone who is finally finding some peace, even though I'm not exactly supporting her decision to wed a complete stranger. I didn't love Janelle since she doesn't want me, Sister Wives star Cody. She simply doesn't want a relationship. Can you think of anything more amusing than Cody's elementary school maturity? It's hilarious when the man pulls the traditional, well, I didn't like you anyway, and expects everyone to buy it. Even more amusing because we all witnessed him urging a reconciliation, holding on to recollections of their alleged Vegas comeback, and making repeated attempts to win her back. As recently as late 2023, he continued to complain about her rejection in interviews, but let's act as though he didn't give a damn. But you know what it's like to witness a calm Janelle in action. Life is a pleasure. He wasn't quite over her, and it's painfully clear. There was something he still desired in that relationship, even though they lacked what he had with Robyn. Even though Janelle has freely admitted that it wasn't love at first sight for him, they managed to create something he treasured over the course of more than 20 years. I suppose he simply finds it difficult to comprehend that she has moved on and isn't looking back. The fact that Janelle's son Gabe was left out of the tell-all is quite perplexing. In general, Cody talked extensively about his relationship with Janelle's boys, but Gabe was the subject of radio silence. Let's face it, Gabe's emotional interview would have been a very candid and revealing time to discuss. It's difficult to avoid wondering if Cody really prohibited certain subjects from being included in the show. In terms of the cast relationships and production of the program, Cody and Robyn appear to have far too much power. Puddle Monkey Productions seems to be going above and above to ensure their satisfaction. What if TLC could collaborate with another production firm that would genuinely push Cody's storyline a little further? TLC should definitely call him out if he threatened to leave over a difficult topic. Yes, many fans watch only to watch the tension between Cody and Robyn, but ultimately, Cody needs the money just as much as the show needs the viewers. Although he and Robyn may have earned some money, it's unlikely that they saved much in the long run given their spending patterns and Cody's seeming lack of financial acumen. Therefore, he would most likely have to sit there and deal with the consequences if he were to lose his TLC income due to a difficult question. TLC probably played it safe because Cody either refused to talk about his side of the story or implied he might leave if it was brought up. Nathan's joke, "Thank you for making my wife happy," is obviously not unique to you. The furnishings wasn't the point. Rebecca is obviously overjoyed that the merry tale is finally coming to a conclusion. And it makes sense that we viewers were worn out from witnessing the relationship's unending breakdown. When Mary responded to Cody's remark about making one woman happy by saying he was talking about Robyn, you can only imagine how over it she must have been for years. Talk about missing the point, I mean. They never seem to be in the same conversation together. Sometimes it feels like a group of children playing house at a multilingual daycare where no one is quite in agreement when you watch them all converse. Mary and Cody did not break up. She did. As he concentrated on his life with Robyn, he was more than happy for her to remain on the sidelines. That's why Nathan's response is so brilliant. He was spot on, and Cody most likely didn't get the irony either. It's intriguing to think that when Christine Brown began dating David, she might not have been completely over Cody. Something about the way she and David went straight into forever mode, from touring wedding venues to trying on jewelry before a proposal even happened, has to be acknowledged. It does seem as like she hurried to capture everything on tape, as if she wanted to make a strong statement to Cody. Take a look at how content I am without you. Christine seemed to be searching for more than simply love. She desires to feel attractive once more. She has been outspoken for years about Cody's mistreatment of her and their children, especially their daughters. She used to talk about putting her children's feelings first, but now she is going all in with David in ways that clearly make them uncomfortable, including the excessive PDA and even her admission that she doesn't care. This seems like a big contrast. Let's face it, Christine has experienced a great deal of trauma, and even David occasionally appears uneasy due to the severity. Her views on relationships were probably influenced by the years she spent in a highly demanding religious setting. She and David are now middle-aged, and it's likely that they have talked about marriage in a planned rather than impromptu manner. Given their origins, they may believe that courting with marriage in mind is merely natural. Rather than following the conventional processes, they are essentially selecting locations, rings, and a timeline as a means of constructing a future they both know they want. All of this may appear unclear or even contradictory to people who hold Christine in high regard, but in the end, Christine is navigating something new. Territory, who is probably still recovering from her relationship with Cody Brown's pal Nathan on Cody's Sister Wives, is extremely irate, much like Cody. It makes my blood boil every time he appears on screen. He said very little on the most recent episode. He is obviously a big supporter of Cody, even if he is married to Mary's sister. Nathan informed Cody a few seasons ago that if a wife is unhappy, it is the husband's duty to make her happy. I can't help but think about that. As usual for Mr. No Accountability, Cody dismissed that utterly. The idea that he should be in a polygamous marriage but is acting monogamously is absurd. In a previous season, they went to see another polygamous family, and the husband there agreed with Nathan that he should put his wife's happiness first. Cody quickly put an end to that. Perhaps Nathan's ex-wife left because polygamy wasn't for her, but I'd really like to hear her side of the story. Alternatively, Nathan might be as much of a jerk as Cody. To be honest, Cody hangs out with a somewhat dubious crowd. Cody was a witness in the Ob case, involving one of his buddies who had previously used domestic violence against his ex-wife. He was there as an authority on Ob matters, but at first I assumed he was a character witness for Kyle. How is it improved by that? In reality, though, his best friend was choking his wife until her voice box cracked. All of this is just a negative impression for Cody and his group. Even though we knew Leon was present at Christine Brown's wedding, it was a pleasant surprise to hear the reality star refer to Leon as Mary's child. For the first time, Christine has demonstrated on TV that she is concerned about more than just Janelle's supplementary children. It's a welcome moment that brings out some real warmth, and I'm grateful for it. This is merely a positive observation, nothing sarcastic. It is always encouraging to see people standing by Leon. I wonder how many references to Leon are cut out during filming, given his tendency to shun attention. I'm not sure why Mary spends all of her holidays by herself. She seems to totally embrace Leon and their partner, and based on what I can see on social media, she and Leon appear to have a strong relationship. I'll take care to avoid unintentionally dead-naming anyone because I don't know whether their partner has changed their name. I'm just intrigued by Mary's decisions on the show. Her only choices appear to be to remain by herself or to go on vacation with Cody and Robyn. Why can't we find a compromise? Given that she and Leon appear to get along well off-screen, it would be pleasant to watch her bond with him during those moments. After witnessing that unpleasant exchange between her sister Rebecca and her brother-in-law Nathan, who also happens to be Cody's best friend, Mary Brown took her time leaving Cody. It's hardly surprising that they both appeared to be assessing Mary and pointing the finger at her. Rebecca made that trite remark about Cody abandoning Mary, but to be honest, it came across as more criticism than encouragement. While Christine had a mother and aunt who publicly opposed polygamy and fought for her right to more, Mary did not receive that type of support, and let's not forget about Nathan. It's telling that their mother was also a fervent supporter of Cody to the very end. What does the fact that he chose to be Cody's best buddy say about him? Given his tight relationship with Cody, it's difficult to believe he's sincerely concerned about Mary's well. Given that Cody is clearly sensitive and requires unflinching commitment, I believe Nathan and Rebecca were attempting to strike a balance between standing by Mary and avoiding upsetting him. However, their uneasiness came across as distant, which would have been brought on by the strain of being recorded and most likely having a conversation that was written for the production and was supposed to sound informal. Family dynamics can be extremely complex, particularly when loyalty and abuse are involved. It's frequently the most difficult to identify and even more difficult to break free from. Given that Mary has obviously had to overcome many obstacles to reach her current position, I grant her a lot of leeway in this case. Although she may not have handled things flawlessly, it is admirable that she is still alive and appears to have grown from her experiences. Although I am unable to confirm whether Sister Wives stars Robyn Brown and Cody Brown have broken any laws, their actions are unquestionably immoral. I was already tired of the show and couldn't bring myself to watch another episode because it was so frustrating to see how the original three were left to start over with nothing while Cody and Robyn were living big, keeping the mansion, keeping their Coyote Pass, and even purchasing a new place after Garrison's predicament. It's simply gotten too gloomy and upsetting. Robyn's extravagant lifestyle seems completely unjust when you consider how the other five are starting from scratch. It's true that the original five have probably been paid separately for a while, which gives Cody and Robyn an unfair financial advantage. Of course, they should be paid for their contributions, but as time goes on after the split, the case that Cody is stealing from the others becomes weaker. Take a peek at Mary. Despite not receiving any of Cody and Robyn's fortune for years, she seems to be doing just fine. I won't support Robyn's absurd assertion that she is an expert in budgeting, but let's also acknowledge that Janelle has made some dubious financial decisions. When she acquired the money, she had the brilliant idea to buy a fifth wheel and a big truck to transport it rather than buying Christine's house, but she later moaned about having no assets. The Browns have made some really bad financial choices over the years, but Cody and Robyn are undoubtedly awful. After so many people have criticized Sister Wives stars Christine Brown and David, personal accountability must eventually be taken into consideration. To be honest, though, I don't mind 90% of what they're doing. They appear to be certain that they were intended to be together, they are in love, and they are not children. Who am I to disagree? Let them go for it if they're content. The speed at which it's going is the only aspect of it that I don't entirely agree with. They appear uneasy with the speed, primarily for the sake of her elder children. Therefore, I might have waited a few more months if it had been me. But in all honesty, this is probably the only healthy relationship she has ever witnessed in a parent. David is far more present and compassionate toward her than Cody ever was with her mother, and it is much better for her to be loved and treasured than she was accustomed to. That's just what many individuals do when they're in love, for those who find the PDA awkward. Although Christine may come across as immature, PDA is very typical for many people, even if she had no baggage. After 27 years of marriage, my husband passed suddenly 18 months ago, and I knew right away that he was the one for me. When we first met, we had no intention of getting married. If he were here now, I would be smitten with him both in public and privately, and if anyone objected, I would tell them to kiss my ass. As for all the psychoanalyzing, I'm not a psychologist, and I believe that most viewers agree that life isn't as long as people believe. She appears truly happy, and her children are presumably happy too by now, so I don't understand how someone could infer she's marrying David based just on her prior tragedy. Let's toast to them. It is incredibly tragic that Sister Wives star and father of 18 Cody Brown left his children behind. I have sympathy for them. My father is quite similar like Cody. He might be extremely vindictive, unwilling to show mercy, and is incapable of taking responsibility. The way Cody has evolved over the seasons is heartbreaking to watch. It reflects the decline of my own father. I felt a great deal of sympathy for Cody's kids, who must constantly watch as their father abandons them and their life. It is unthinkable to have a chronological record of your father repeatedly putting someone else before you. Knowing that their father is making such decisions must be heartbreaking to watch that happen on television. They suffer a great deal emotionally from this, and it's hard to witness. Additionally, it is difficult to accept Cody's statement that he left Mary behind. Since Robyn hadn't bothered to text her in years, save from when the cameras were filming, Mary's whole plot in the previous season centered on telling Robyn and Cody that she was relocating to Peru. Naturally, this was her breaking point. When the family was almost ignoring her, she finally came to the conclusion that driving back and forth wasn't worth the effort. She obviously was at her wit's end, but she made a great deal out of not actually leaving. When they all come together, it's clear that Robyn is attempting to close the distance because it seems like she speaks Cody. However, Cody, as usual, doesn't appear to care and disregards any cues Robyn gives him to talk to Mary. Rather, he is irritated when she brings up the new horsey rings, which he takes as a subtle insult. Then he has the gall to claim that he fears Robyn would no longer respect him if he leaves these women. It's typical of Cody to concentrate on details rather than the emotional truth. They view a video of Mary claiming that he has already violated his vow during the talkback portion, and Robyn uses the occasion to question Cody as though he were a hostile witness. He sidesteps the inquiries when she tries to find out what he might have done to violate that promise. She seems to be attempting to shield him against a release that he didn't even realize was possible in the past. Vu is continually contradicting himself since Cody talks to him so much that he frequently forgets what he says. He just keeps saying whatever he believes will make him appear to be the victim at the time. In actuality, his refusal to engage in any marital relations with her was a breach of his covenant with Mary, and this is also regarded as abandonment. Everything about the scenario is depressing. What irritates me the most about Sister Wives star Cody Acobaldi's hair is his conspicuous lack of appreciation for the OG3 children he shares with the OG3. Despite saying he never really loved their mothers, he has never once expressed how grateful he should be for them, which is frustrating. In addition, he acts irrationally around other men. It's embarrassing to see him get so excited. Furthermore, he still has the audacity to make deplorable remarks about his family on camera, despite the awful suicide of one of his children. In addition to his obstinate refusal to accept any accountability for his acts, his lack of self-awareness is astounding. I have never met someone who is so firmly rooted in their own illusions. The fact that Cody continues to be the major character on the program, even though he has done nothing deserving of that attention, is what really irritates me. His solid commentary is worthless and hypocritical. He falters during arguments, such as when Janelle chastises him for not talking to Savannah over Christmas, and then turns the conversation back to himself by saying she wants me for my abs, despite Janelle's discussion of the effects of his distance from his children. But to be honest, what really irritates me is the stealing. I'm furious about the backtracking. He promoted the idea that this way of life or religion was not only acceptable but also advantageous for all parties concerned for more than 10 years. He now maintains it was all nonsense after being dumped by 3 spouses, being exposed as a deadbeat, and being implicated in numerous lies. While complaining about how hard it is to split his time between 4 homes every week, he portrays the church as trash and plural marriage as absurd. We hear him lamenting that he tries to be there for all of his children and show love for their mothers, but he conveniently ignores the fact that people have been warning him about this very issue since the first episode. If you are looking for more Sister Wives gossip, come back to TLC Flicks for all your updates. Bye guys.